On this episode of the Vero Beach Social Media Pop-Up Podcast, we chat with old friend Barry Shapiro. He is our first repeat guest, and we chat about everything you need to know about the Vero Beach Sock Drive. Give it a listen. You're going to love it. I guarantee it. Here we go. All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Vero Beach Social Media Pop-Up Podcast. We are here at the Dale Sorensen office downtown, and I'm with Barry Shapiro. How are you?
I'm okay. Good to
man.
see you.
Our first ever repeat guest. I think we've done like 37. Andy, how many? 36, 37, Dilly? We've done a lot of these, and every single time it's been somebody different. But we brought you back. I forget which episode you were on, but we interviewed you at Coffee House 1420.
No, you did it in my studio.
No, I did Lou Kohlbauer at your studio.
Oh, that's right. That's
yep.
right. Yeah,
so,
right.
yeah, we interviewed you at Coffee House 1420, and we talked a lot about your career in TV production. We talked a lot about your studio. We talked a lot about that stuff, but that is not why you're here today.
No, it is not.
How about you tell the folks why we're here today?
Well, we're here to talk about the Vero Beach Sock Drive, and this year is the 5th annual Vero Beach Sock Drive. So in case you haven't heard about us, this has been going on, and it started because I have a friend. Through the magic of social media.
Oh, go figure.
I became in touch with a guy I went to high school with in Livingston, New Jersey, and I learned that he had started a charity called Livingston Philanthropies, where they deliver clothing, food, and other necessary items to the homeless in the Newark, New Jersey, and surrounding areas. And after reading about it, I thought, I'd love to help. But, I live in Vero Beach. I didn't have a winter coat to send because they do a big coat drive every winter. I didn't have a coat to send. I didn't have a lot of cash to send them that would be significant. So I was looking online, and I found out that the number one requested item in homeless shelters are socks. And it makes total sense if you think about it. If you're someone who doesn't have a home and you're on your feet all day, your feet take a battering, a really brutal battering. And if your feet are having problems, then you're having problems. Also, if you're homeless, you don't have a washer and dryer to pop your socks and underwear into the laundry, so they become disposable items.
So you're here in Vero Beach, and you're getting socks, and are you sending them back to New Jersey?
Well, what happened was, that was the idea. What I hoped to do was collect about 300 pairs of socks to send up to New Jersey.
5 years ago.
5 years ago. So I asked some friends who had businesses in town. I said, look, I'm going to do this collection. Can I leave a box in your place? And everybody's like, yeah, sure. And then I went to White Glove Moving and Storage and said, I need boxes to collect socks in. And they were so kind to say, how many do you need? So I put...
Enough for 300 pairs.
Yeah, so I put boxes in about 10 or 11 locations around town. And then I just started putting it on Facebook every day. Hey, here's the sock drive. We're trying to collect socks for the homeless and the poor and less fortunate. And the response was overwhelming. So at the end of we do it starting the second day of January, and we end the last day of February. And by the end of February that first year, we had not collected 300 pairs. We had collected 1,000 pairs. So I said, we have plenty to go around. So we divided it up between 3 different charities. And then they were asking, are you going to do this again? Because this is great. And I said, well, yeah, sure. Why not? So it was December the following year, and I said, oh, yeah, let's do the sock drive again in January and February. And this time, we had about 20 locations to drop off socks. And I thought, man, if we can get, 1,000 pairs of socks again, this would be so awesome. Well, we got 3,000 pairs of socks.
All right, so the goal was 300. You got 1,000. Then year 2, you got
3,000.
Okay, I see a trend.
You see the trend.
I see a trend.
And it kept growing and growing. And along with a number of locations to drop socks off at, the number of charities that we were able to distribute to, which has grown now to about 12 or 13 charities that distribute these socks for us. And so year 3, Again, 8,500 pairs of socks. Last year, I said, man, if we can beat that 8,500, that would be amazing. And we had over 11,000 pairs of socks. So this year, I'm up in the ante. We're going for the big 15,000.
15,000. Okay,
That's what we want to do.
So we have, I don't know, like 50 pairs of socks in front of us right now.
Give or take.
This is being recorded on January 10th, so
Yeah.
we've only been doing this 8 days or so.
Right.
How many do you have so far?
I don't really know because the boxes have just been going out in the last, since the 2nd. We've been getting the boxes out. But also, we hooked up with Stacy Murto, who is our webmaster, because we wanted to have a web page. We thought that might be a good idea. And
By the way, that webpage is verobeachsockdrive.com.
That is.
Very easy to remember.
Very easy to remember. And Stacy said, well, if we're going to do this website, what we need is an Amazon button. And I said, well, what's that? She said, people click on the button, it'll take to Amazon, and you will pick out different selections of socks that they can select, pay for, and then they ship right to you. I was like, wow, okay, not bad. So with the Amazon button, yesterday, let me see, I got one large box and 3 packages left in my driveway, and they come in about 3 to 4 to 5, maybe sometimes more packages of socks every day. So it's hard to say exactly at this point. And of course, I know we have some in the coffee house. We have now. Let me see. We have.
Well, I was going to ask you about your extensive list there.
Yeah.
What are these? Pickup locations?
These are drop-off locations.
Not pick-up, obviously.
And we now
Drop-off
have 27 locations, and we are about to have a couple more. Can I list them?
Rattle them off. Yeah.
The Vero Beach Chamber of Commerce on 14th Avenue. Sean Ryan Pub on 14th Avenue. So when you go in for a fish and chips or a brew, you can stop there. Bring some socks. Yeah. Coffee House 1420, which is on the corner of 14th Avenue and 20th Street. Alexander Insurance on Route 60. The Center for Spiritual Care, which is over on 24th Street. Waldo's. So if you're on the beach and you want to go have some lunch at Waldo's, bring some socks. Dale Sorensen Real Estate, where we are doing this podcast from, right here on 14th Avenue, and their office on Cardinal Drive. And Dale Sorensen, by the way, has been a huge supporter of the Vero Beach Sock Drive.
Which I thought this would be a perfect spot for this podcast since they've been probably your biggest proponent. Right?
They're great. Grace Lutheran Church, Holy Cross Catholic Church. We probably get more socks from Holy Cross Catholic Church than any one entity. Every Sunday, they bring them in, and Monday we go in, and they fill 3 boxes.
Wow.
Temple Beth Shalom. Mr. Smokes Boutique, if you know, across from City Hall. Mike over at Mr. Smokes. Botanica, which has moved their office. They're now at 1130 19th Court. And they've been really great. If you bring in, I don't know how many, but you bring in a certain amount of packages of socks, and they'll give you a free candle.
Oh, wow.
It's
Okay.
lovely. Vero Beach City Hall, the Indian River County Administration Building, both buildings, A and B, have boxes. The Indian River County IG Center has a box. Suncoast School out by the airport. And then in Sebastian at Pac Mart, which is in the Publix Plaza on US 1 in Roseland, the Hen House restaurant, and in Sebastian City Hall. Okay. Also here in Vero at United Against Poverty, Charter School. They do a big sock drive for us at Charter School. Gordon Chiropractic is a new name this year. And also now, we haven't gotten the box there, but it'll be there by the time this thing airs. Engler and Volkers on the beach on Beachland. And in Fort Pierce at the offices of Hometown News. They did an article about us every year for the sock drive, and this year they said, hey, can you have a box in Fort Pierce? And we're like, yes, we can.
Perfect. Well, you can add one. We'll be a sock drop-off location.
Awesome.
Vero Beach social media. We're off of 17th Street. But you bring
awesome.
socks. I'll make sure I get them to you.
Absolutely. We'll come and get them.
Yeah.
Income,
So
yeah.
you mentioned one on there that now I'm just thinking, United Against Poverty.
Yeah.
They seem like they would be a good organization to donate these socks to. Are
And
they part of one of? Yeah.
What happened was I called up Jane McNulty there, who's my contact.
Yep.
And she's
We interviewed
incredible.
Jane on
is-
this podcast.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she's great.
And I know Jane a long time now, and she's an incredible person. And I said, Jane, you guys want socks? And she said, yeah, sure. Bring some socks over. So we brought this. She thought I was bringing over a shopping basket or or a bag of socks or something. I bring this
bags,
big box, and she's like, "Holy mackerel!" So we brought them over to where they distribute clothing and such. And she said, why don't we have a box here? And I was like, good idea. So in fact, I was just over there the other day. So yeah.
So you mentioned that socks is the number one need for homeless people.
Well, they have many needs, but
Right.
it's a highly requested item.
Have you thought about expanding into, like you said, underwear or other items, or is it just socks? You want to just stick with this?
So it's just socks. We now, first of all, people throw all kinds of things in the box. They throw, clean, fortunately used socks in the box, and we don't want that. But we will see to it that they do get distributed. Right. They put underwear in the box. They put hats, shoes, other articles of clothing, especially stuff for kids. They put. I've had jewelry in there. I've had baseball caps. Yeah, you name it. People will put items in there that they think the homeless need, and that is great. And I have a group of people. And by the way, we are not a charity. We are not a 501c3. We do not take money. We do not take money. You talk about grassroots, this is grassroots. We just take socks and distribute them through 12 different charities. But we talked about it. We talked about, maybe we should expand this. But the truth of the matter is, I got my hands full just dealing with socks. I mean, I have other things that I do, not to belittle this in any way, but this is very time consuming.
Yeah, I don't know. Handling 10,000 socks seems like it might take a few minutes.
Yeah, it does. And packaging them and distributing them and counting them and all of that. So we decided that we would just do socks. And if people give us other things, cool. We certainly will see that it gets.
So when you
put
get
to
those
use.
other things in the box, I know that that's not really wanted, but you end up with them. What do you do with them?
We distribute them with socks to the charities that can use them. And, of the charities, like in the neighborhood here, in Indian River County, the Source, obviously, the Source is not only an organization that deals with the homeless, but I don't know if you know this, they are the only cold night shelter in Indian River County.
I did know that, but I don't think that that's common knowledge.
Yeah. So, they have a great need.
Yeah.
And so, we take them there. And, by the way, I don't know if I told you this, but it was a while ago now, maybe 6-7 years ago or more, but we did a video. Jamal Hayes, Jamal.
Yep.
Jamal and I did a video for The Source. And we went out into the woods to interview people who were homeless, living out in the woods. And at that time, as I said, this is, some years ago, the estimate was that there were anywhere between 1,200 and 1,500 people living in the woods in and around Vero Beach. You wouldn't think it, but it's true. Now, imagine today that number has gone up quite a bit.
It has to have, yeah.
So we take them to The Source. We take them to Camp Haven, up with Poverty, the Samaritan Center, the Hope for Family Center, and one of my favorites is the Hibiscus Children's Center.
Yeah.
And
now, you had a lot of involvement with Hibiscus at some point, didn't you? Or am I making that up?
You're making that up.
I thought for some reason you were involved with them.
No, not really. I mean, other than, doing every once in a while something, some charitable event or something like that. But in the last few years, my main connection with them has been to bring boxes of socks over. And by the way, interestingly enough, last year, I load them up with infant and children's socks and, all this. And last year they said, do you have more men's socks? And of course we have tons of men's sweat socks. And I said, yeah, but why do you want men's socks? You're the children's center. They said, These boys grow up fast.
I have 13 and 14-year-old boys. I'm well aware of how fast they grow. My 14-year-old wears my shoes now. He just grabs mine when he goes out. Yeah. And he's 14, and that's crazy to me.
Yeah. So
that leads me to a question. Is there a preference on the socks that you get? Are you looking for men's, women's, youth?
We are looking for men, women, and children, definitely.
Okay.
We get toddlers' socks. And, it's funny. I don't know, you've probably heard on the radio or TV, there's this company called Bombas, and they make quality socks, and they sell them. And their thing is that when they sell a pair of socks, they give a pair away to a homeless charity. Well, now, the last 2 years, we've been getting a lot of Bombas socks. It's what I call the double whammy. People buy their Bombas socks. Bombas sends a pair off to charity. They take the socks from Bombas. They throw them in our box.
So it's a 2 for 1.
2 for 1.
So spell that. Bombas. B-O-M-B-A-S?
B-O-M-B-A-S.
Okay, B-O-M-B-A-S.
Yeah.
All right.
And, we get, odd things. One year we had a couple pairs of Marilyn Monroe socks. Very soft, very comfortable. We get socks with political slogans on them. We get.
It's a good way to get your political message across. By the way,
on your socks.
If you're running for office, make some socks and throw them in the box.
Right.
Yeah.
We get socks with sports and college logos, and people throw all kinds of things in there. And as long as they're new, I don't care where they're from.
Right. Is there a place that you prefer people get socks from, or is there a place where they're the cheapest, or is there a better? No. You just don't care. Just new socks.
Just socks. Just new socks. I told this story. Actually, I posted this story online yesterday, and it's a true story. So there's a woman I know, and this is, I think, not last year, the year before, and she told me this story. And so she had gone with her daughter to Walmart to purchase socks. Or purchase groceries and things, and then as they were heading to the checkout, she said, "Oh, I forgot. We're going to get socks for the sock drive." So they went back and they bought a package of socks, like this,
right,
and put it in the cart. And they were heading back to the checkout, and the daughter said, "One package of socks doesn't seem like a big deal." She said, "No." So they went back and they took, 3 or 4 more packages of socks and threw them in the cart, and they started heading back. And at one point, they were on the checkout line, and they looked at each other and knowingly went, and they went back, and they just went down the aisle and started dumping them into the... probably had about 30 packages of socks in the cart. And the thing about this that's amazing, Curtis, is that, a package of socks like this, if you go to Walmart or Sam's Club or Target, it's about $8.
Right.
With inflation these days, maybe it's $10.
Right.
And it's not a big deal. You throw it in your cart, and it's $10, and you throw it in a box and done. Or you go to Amazon and get the same pair. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is. It makes a huge difference. And especially, I do it in January and February because in October, November, December, there are a lot of charities that are asking for donations, worthy charities that are asking for donations. And it's the holidays, and you're buying gifts, and you're buying whatever, for groceries for the family meals to Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever, Hanukkah. So this time of the year, it's kind of quiet, it's kind of slow, and it's winter. So
and homeless people need socks.
And homeless people need socks. Yeah. So I do it in January and February, and it's amazing. It's such a simple and inexpensive thing to do. You don't have to write a check. You don't have to, whatever. It's so people respond.
So, like most husbands, my wife's favorite store is Target.
Yep.
And in the past, we've donated packages of socks very similar to this, and I'll just tell her while she's in Target, "Hey, would you mind getting a couple packs of socks?" Yeah. And then she'll ask, are they for me? Because then it matters. But
women, children,
she'll get a couple packs.
Yeah.
And again, if you're in Target or Walmart or Sam's or wherever you're talking about, my wife goes pretty often. So every couple of weeks, again, if you get a pack every time you go, by the time February 28th rolls around, you've probably got a dozen. And, and now you got a dozen packs. And like you said, it didn't break the bank.
Right. And a pack has 8, 10, 12 pairs of socks in it. That's a lot of socks.
Right. And they don't have to be, super fancy Nike, Adidas, or anything like that. I
mean,
the
No.
Cheap is fine, right?
Absolutely. Remember, they do become disposable items for
Right.
the homeless. So it's, years ago when I was in New York and I was in advertising, I was asked if I would do a promotional piece for a charity called New York City Relief. And I never heard of them, but they had a bus, and the bus would go into the worst neighborhoods in New York, and it would roll in, and they had a portable soup kitchen in the middle of the bus, and a medical center in the back of the bus, and a consulting area behind the driver in the front of the bus. So, and it was a Christian organization, but what they did that was great. They had a gift from AT&T, and so they had early cell phones.
Okay.
And they had a list. So if someone was, interested in getting help, if they had drug addiction, alcohol addiction, or just were down on their luck or whatever, and they wanted consultation, they wanted help, they could call someone and get them to the right place. This was a very unique concept. And in the back, in those days, they had a mobile medical clinic. And I watched them go to work, and the majority of the people who had medical issues that needed attention had medical issues with their feet.
Believe it. I believe it.
Yeah.
So, I was an x-ray tech for many, many years before
I
doing
remember.
this, and I kind of did a lot of different things with that. But I dabbled in something called interventional radiology, where we're basically fixing primarily arteries in people's legs. Is pretty much what it turned out to be.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of these people that had occlusions and blockages and problems with blood flow to their feet. And part of that could be because they weren't taking care of them. Or
diabetic neuropathy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've seen people's feet get lopped off for a multitude of medical reasons.
Yeah.
But, quality socks would help. Yeah,
It absolutely helps.
Yeah.
It absolutely helps. So it's an important thing. And, we live in a very generous community. We live in a community, we're very fortunate to live in Vero Beach. And, let's call it what it is. There are a lot of money in this community.
Yeah.
But people are not misers. They support a lot of really worthy charities and causes here, as you well know. And even though we're not a 501c3, at least now, people step up. People do step up and show kindness and compassion and generosity. So it's a wonderful thing to be involved with this community.
Well, 11,000 pairs is nothing to scoff at, and the goal is 15,000.
15,000 pairs of socks.
2023. I think that you can do it.
I do too. I really do. Oh, by the way, one of the things here, you'll notice on the signs, if you see them around town, there's a QR code now. And you can take your camera out and click on the QR code. It takes you right to our website. So
again, VeroBeachSockDrive.com.
Yep. And then you can go on the Amazon. And you can learn more about what we do and who gets the socks and all of that.
Yeah. Well, I don't have too much more to talk about. I just wanted you to talk about the sock drive and different ways that people could drop them off. We rattled off all the drop-off points. We talked about our goal. We talked about the type of socks that you're looking for.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you want to talk about here?
Not that I can think of. I do want to, thank you, Dale Sorensen.
Yeah, big shout out to Sorensen.
Sorensen has been great. They have been, right from the first year, they've been a big supporter. Lori Davis, who set this up in the room here. Thank you, Lori. Thanks to Dale Jr. It's a real pleasure to be associated with Dale Sorensen. They're great. And all the businesses that I rattled off, I mean, they have been so incredibly supportive. No one has ever said, "Nah, I can't do that. I don't want to do that."
Right.
Everybody.
Well, it's easy. Stick a box in your lobby. I mean, that's what we're gonna do. It's simple.
It really is. So, again, I thank the community. I thank the businesses. I thank the community. I thank the churches and temples and the other organizations that have been so generous and kind to us. And, that's it. We're lucky. We are lucky people. We are very fortunate. It sounds like a cliche, but it's true. They say they're by God's grace or whatever they say. I don't know what they say. But, with the blink of an eye, a snap of a finger, your life can change.
Yeah.
And, I have, over the years, encountered people who had normal, regular, everyday lives and then an illness, an accident, something has occurred, and they're homeless.
Yep.
And so, it can happen to anyone. So just be kind.
Be kind and donate socks.
And donate socks. Be kind and donate socks. There you go.
Well, Barry, thank you very much, man. This was great. I appreciate you coming on again. The first ever repeat guest on our Vero Beach pop-up podcast. And
thank you guys, by the way. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, huge shout out to the Sorensen office and Lori for setting this up. And
one other shout out, if I may.
Yeah.
We have 30 boxes that are going out, give or take, this year. And every year it's like 20, 25 boxes. And all of those boxes come from White Glove Moving and Storage, by the way. Just wanted to
big thank you to White Glove then.
Yeah, big thank you. That's
Who do you deal with over there? Anna?
Anna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Anna, and thank you, White Glove and Sorensen, and thank Barry. I mean, this is kind of a cool thing that came about from kind of nothing, from a social media post.
Yeah, that's right.
So, 15,000 socks later.
Social media, making connections worldwide.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
We'll take credit.
Cool.
All right. Well, again, thank you, Barry. Thanks, Sorensen. Thank White Glove. Thank everybody. And thank you guys for listening and tuning in to another episode of the Vero Beach Social Media Pop-Up Podcast.
Coolio.